You know the Monkees aren't a real band, right? Yes, we've all heard that said before. But I think that depends on what you think real is, because these are the top 10 classic TV bands of all time. And I'll tell you right now, the Monkees are real. And I'm your very real host, Nostalgic Nick, and today we're diving into the greatest TV bands of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Let's roll.
Honey, oh, sugar, sugar.
The Monkees. Of course we gotta start with the Monkees, not just a TV band, a full-blown cultural explosion. The show debuted in 1966 as NBC's answer to the Beatles film A Hard Day's Night, casting 4 young guys to play a fictional rock band and loading each episode with slapstick humor, zany adventures, and plenty of catchy tunes.
People say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing.
But here's where things took a sharp left turn. These 4 actors, Mickey Dolenz, Davy Jones, Mike Nesmith, and Peter Tork, became genuine rock stars, whether the industry liked it or not. Whether you consider them a real band or not. At first, yes, they were pure studio creation, with legendary songwriters churning out hit after hit. We're talking Neil Diamond with I'm a Believer, Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart scribing Last Train to Clarksville. But boy did they deliver. At one point in 1967, the Monkees were outselling both the Beatles and the Rolling Stones combined.
You're gonna say you love me too.
But there was one little kinda big problem. The guys weren't actually playing their own instruments on those first few records. And that sat just fine with Mickey Dolenz, who admitted he was more interested in acting and singing than drumming. But it definitely did not sit well with Michael Nesmith and Peter Tork. Those guys had real musical chops and weren't keen to be industry puppets. In 1967, tensions boiled over when the group, especially Mike Nesmith, demanded creative control. Mike was so furious over their lack of input that he reportedly punched a hole through a hotel wall in front of a music executive, telling him, quote, "That could have been your face, pal." And just like that, after season 1 of the show, the Monkees kinda took the wheel, playing their own instruments and producing their own music. And their third album, Headquarters, proved they could do it, but the studio wasn't thrilled about their newfound independence. Then came Head, their 1968 movie co-written by a young Jack Nicholson. Yeah, that Jack Nicholson. It was a psychedelic, experimental, anti-Monkees film that completely alienated their younger fans and confused everyone else.
Let it all be said and done.
The Monkees had wanted to be taken seriously, but instead the whole thing just bombed, and by the end of the decade, Peter Tork had quit and the band fizzled out, seemingly just another 60s pop relic. But the Monkees were never just another relic. The 80s brought a full-scale revival thanks to MTV reruns that introduced them to an entirely new generation. Suddenly, Monkey Mania was back, and their 1986 reunion tour, minus Nesmith, was a massive success. Let's face it, Davy Jones's charm never faded, Peter Tork still had his musical soul, and Mickey Dolenz still the life of the party. Even Mike Nesmith, the reluctant Monkee, eventually rejoined for the tours in the 90s and beyond.
You gotta stop your crying sometime.
But sadly, we lost Davy in 2012, and then Peter in 2019, and finally Mike in 2021. But their music, their impact, it's still everywhere. From their pioneering use of music videos to the way they blurred the lines between TV fiction and real-life fame. The Monkees were not a manufactured band, they were the real deal. Whether you love them for the music, the show, or just Davy's British charm, one thing's for sure. The Monkees were not really monkeying around at all. The Partridge Family. Anyone with a transistor radio in the early 70s was humming I Think I Love You, whether they wanted to or not.
I think I love you.
I think everyone wanted to be in the Partridge Family. Every week, families tuned in to watch Shirley Partridge, played by the ever-lovely Shirley Jones. And her 5 impossibly well-behaved kids travel the country in that iconic rainbow-colored school bus, strumming their guitars and belting out wholesome pop hits.
Battle stations, everyone!
But behind the perfectly arranged harmonies and matching velvet outfits, there was a whole lot of Hollywood fakery and a level of teen idol hysteria that almost swallowed David Cassidy whole. Now, let's clear something up right away. Most of the band wasn't actually playing or singing a note. Now, Shirley Jones, a legit Broadway star, of course she could sing. And David Cassidy, yeah, he could really sing. But the rest of the clan, nope. They were just along for the ride and looked the part.
Still a lot of good love in our lives for us to share.
Susan Day may have held a guitar, and Danny Bonaducci loved hamming it up on the bass, but all the real music came from session musicians. Actually, some of the same guys who played for the Monkees and also the Beach Boys. But that didn't stop the illusion from working. The Partridge Family album shot to number 4 on the Billboard charts, and suddenly David Cassidy wasn't just an actor, he was now a rock star too. His face was on every magazine, lunchbox, and poster a teenage could slap on their bedroom wall. But unlike other manufactured TV idols, Cassidy had real talent. He could sing, play, and even write, but the studio execs only cared about keeping him frozen in time as Keith. That sweet, wide-eyed teen dream. But the frenzy around him was very real and it reached absurd levels. At concerts, fans would literally stampede to get close to him. Security guards had to pull unconscious girls out of the crowd. The pressure to keep up the heartthrob act was exhausting, and Cassidy started to resent the entire machine. In 1972, he made a bold move, shredding his bubblegum image and his clothes for a provocative Rolling Stone cover story. He talked about drugs, the industry's phoniness, and the emotional toll of being trapped in a role that he had outgrown. Did it work? Not exactly. To the world, he was still Keith Partridge, even if he was over it.
I love you forever.
By 1974, the Partridge Family was off the air, and Cassidy walked away from the machine, desperate to regain some control over his life. He spent years trying to carve out a more serious music career with some success, but the shadow of his teen idol past, it just loomed so large. The Partridge Family may have been a product of TV magic, but the show's impact was very real. It helped pave the way for the manufactured pop acts that followed.
The leaves of life are falling down around you, girl.
Whether that's a good thing or not, yes is up for debate. And Cassidy, well, he never fully escaped his past, but over time, people came to recognize his real musical talent, and not just his pin-up status. The frenzy may have faded, but if you ever hear I Think I Love You playing somewhere, don't be surprised if you still know every dang word.
Let me ask you to your face, do you think you love me?
Josie and the Pussycats. Growing up as a kid in the 70s meant waking up on Saturday mornings, pouring yourself a big bowl of cereal, and tuning in to watch 3 fashionable feline-themed rockers jam out, while also cracking mysteries.
Coast Guard can't thank you kids enough for putting an end to Nemo and his gang.
It was our pleasure.
Josie and the Pussycats wasn't just another Hanna-Barbera cartoon, it was part girl power pop group and part detective squad, and way cooler than it had any right to be. Sure, it was riding the coattails of Scooby-Doo, but with its groovy outfits, funky theme, and surprisingly catchy music, it carved out its own lasting place in Saturday morning pop culture history.
It looks like we're going to spend most of the trip washing and drying dishes. What do you want to do?
The show followed Josie, the redheaded leader, Melody, the lovable but ditzy blonde, and Valerie, the cool and confident brain of the group, as they traveled the world in their psychedelic tour van. But here's the thing, this wasn't just a cartoon gimmick. Like the Archies, Josie and the Pussycats actually recorded real albums with a studio band providing the music. And that music, well, it's not bad at all. In fact, some of the songs had serious Motown vibes, which made sense, considering one of the most important voices behind the show's sound belonged to Patrice Holloway. Now, here's where things get interesting. Valerie wasn't just the first black female character in a Saturday morning cartoon, she was a groundbreaking moment in TV history. But behind the scenes, the studio originally planned to have a white singer record Valerie's parts, despite the character's voice actress Patrice Holloway being black. When this decision came to light, there was pushback, and ultimately Holloway was allowed to sing the role too, adding a layer of authenticity and soul that made the group's music really stand out. It might not seem like a big deal today, but at the time it was a major step in the right direction for proper representation. The music, performed by a trio of studio singers including Holloway and future star Cheryl Ladd. Charlie's Angel Cheryl Ladd. It was polished and fun, with tracks that I think could have easily been radio hits. And while the show only lasted one season, its impact stretched far beyond those 16 episodes. The Pussycats continued appearing in various Archie comics adaptations over the years. And in 2001, the group was resurrected in a live-action movie that, while being a box office flop, gained a massive cult following for its sharp satire of the music industry. So while Josie and the Pussycats may have seemed like just another Saturday morning gimmick, it was actually a little ahead of its time, blending bubblegum pop with a hint of funk, pushing boundaries for representation, and proving that cartoon bands could have real musical chops. And let's be honest, that theme song is gonna be stuck in your head.
Josie and the Pussycats! Josie and the Pussycats!
Josie and the Pussycats, long tails and ears for hats. The Banana Splits. If you were a child in the late 60s, then you definitely remember the Banana Splits Adventure Hour. Whether you want to or not, 4 giant costumed animals playing in a psychedelic rock band, hosting a variety show that blended surreal comedy and weirdly catchy music.
My parents don't like for me to keep my pet alligator in the bathtub. Should I run away from home?
It was as if Hanna-Barbera took the Monkees, dunked them into a vat of Saturday morning cartoon toxic slime, and added just a touch of nightmare fuel. You know that moment when Tra-La-La, One Banana, Two Banana started playing? It was over. You were hooked. That song was a total earworm, burrowing its way into your brain and never leaving. The show itself was a mix of live-action hijinks, trippy animated shorts, and music videos featuring the Banana Splits jamming out like they were the biggest rock stars in the animal kingdom. But here's the thing, they weren't just a TV gag. The Banana Splits were a real band. Well, sort of. Their music was recorded by professional studio musicians, led by Al Cooper of Blood, Sweat, and Tears fame. And they did put out some albums. In true 60s fashion, their songs had a distinct bubblegum pop psychedelia blend. It just kind of fit right alongside the sound of the Archies and the Monkees. And we can't forget the costumes, because they were a lot. Those oversized, perpetually grinning heads, the odd robotic movements, the way Snorky, the mute elephant, just honked instead of speaking. It was, all a bit too weird. And yet, kids loved them.
All the members of the Banana Splits who aren't here, do not raise your hands.
They even went on tour, appearing in theme parks and state fairs, proving that you didn't need to see your favorite band's real faces to scream your head off in excitement. And then, about 50 years later, things got really weird. Or weirder, I guess. In 2019, the Banana Splits took a sharp left turn straight into horror movie territory.
Because the Banana Split Show is about to begin.
The result was the Banana Splits movie, a gory slasher flick that turned them into twisted Chuck E. Cheese-style murder machines. It was kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's, but with a disturbing dose of childhood nostalgia that makes the whole thing just confounding. Despite the insanity of their evolution, the Banana Splits holds a unique place in pop culture history. They were a bizarre, groovy, and slightly unsettling part of the 60s, proving that even giant furry musicians could have a hit record. Sha Na Na. If you ever needed proof that the universe has a sense of humor, look no further than Sha Na Na.
And I really do have something to say.
What started as a bunch of Ivy League guys playing exaggerated over-the-top versions of 50s doo-wop somehow turned into one of the biggest acts of the 70s. They slicked back their hair, threw on some gold lame suits, and strutted around like they had just time-traveled straight from a Brooklyn street corner in 1957. But here's where things get really crazy. These guys weren't just goofing around in local clubs, they played Woodstock. Yeah, Woodstock, right before Jimi Hendrix. Now, imagine being in that crowd, 3 days deep into one of the most legendary rock festivals of all time, tripping on whatever was in the air, watching Hendrix melt faces with his guitar.
So I wonder who wrote the book of love?
Only to have Sha Na Na take the stage in their doo-wop glory, snapping fingers and crooning about blue suede shoes. And yet, well, it worked. They absolutely killed it, earning a standing ovation from a sea of tie-dye wearing hippies who suddenly found themselves dancing to Teen Angel. That one moment propelled them into mainstream success, and before long, Sha Na Na wasn't just a joke act, they were legitimately huge. By 1977, nostalgia was in full swing, and Sha Na Na landed their own syndicated TV show. If you remember watching, you know it was equal parts music, comedy, and outright silliness. There were performances of 50s classics, goofy skits, and musical guests ranging from James Brown to Chuck Berry, actual legends who gave Sha Na Na real credibility. And it didn't stop there. They appeared in Grease 1978, playing Johnny Casino and the Gamblers, cementing their place as the kings of 50s revivalism. The irony, well, they made such a convincing old school band that a whole generation of kids assumed they were from the 50s. But Sha Na Na wasn't just an act, they were a phenomenon.
Life could be a dream. Sweetheart, hello, hello again. Shaboom, and up one meeting.
Their show ran for 4 years and their concerts were packed. They even managed to outlast the 50s nostalgia boom they helped create. Of course, as the 80s rolled on, the world moved on from greasers and poodle skirts, and the band eventually faded from the spotlight. Still, you have to respect the sheer absurdity of it all. Sha Na Na started as a half joke, made it to Woodstock, ruled 70s TV, and became a crucial part of pop culture history. Not bad for a bunch of guys who just wanted to bring doo-wop back. The Brady Bunch kids. Let's face it, the Brady Bunch was already kind of a pop culture fever dream. A perfectly blended family, a dog that disappeared halfway through the show, and a dad who was secretly not a fan of the entire thing.
When it's time to change, you've got to rearrange.
It was a world where everything was just a little too perfect. But then, someone in Hollywood had an idea that took the Brady brand to truly uncharted and slightly unhinged territory, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour.
You know you'll never be lonely with you know.
Now, if you've seen it, words don't quite do it justice. Imagine the wholesome Brady kids, but instead of navigating teenage drama and sibling rivalries, they're suddenly in full-blown, high-energy Las Vegas-style variety show mode. I mean, what? Glittery costumes, check. Overly enthusiastic dance numbers, you bet. Greg Brady in a skin-tight jumpsuit doing disco choreography. Oh, you better believe it, it's happening. It was like someone took the Donnie and Marie show, cranked up the camp factor to 11, this one goes to 11, and threw in the Brady kids whether they wanted to be there or not.
Alice, we've missed you.
We're sorry for what we did. We didn't mean to treat you that way.
And make no mistake, most of them did not want to be there. Maureen McCormick, Marcia, has openly admitted that she hated every second of it. Barry Williams, who played Greg, ever the optimist, tried to roll with it, but even he couldn't pretend that it wasn't completely ridiculous. Eve Plum, who played Jan, straight up refused to participate, so they just replaced her with an actress named Jerry Reichel, who was quickly dubbed Fake Jan, and just confused fans.
The sweetest eyes I've ever seen.
That's right, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour was so out there, even Jan didn't want to be part of it. The show was exactly as bizarre as you'd expect, with the Bradys singing and dancing their way through every musical trend at the time. Disco, of course. Broadway-style numbers, you got it. A water ballet sequence featuring the entire cast in swimsuits performing synchronized swimming routines. Oh, absolutely. It was like watching a strange dream unfold, and yet for one brief, glitter-soaked moment, the Bradys had a legit musical career. But as you might have guessed, it did not last. The show was canceled after just 9 episodes. And the forced pop careers of the Brady kids fizzled out just as quickly as they began. But still, there's something almost admirable about how absurd it was. No one can ever erase Greg Brady's disco phase from history, no matter how hard they try. And if you ever need a reminder of how wild 70s TV could be, just find a clip of fake Jan and the gang belting out a groovy hit in matching sequence. It's a moment in pop culture that defies explanation, and that's exactly why we'll never forget it.
Gotta find the corner of the sky.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Now let's be real. Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem may have been made out of felt and foam, but when it came to stage presence, they could outshine plenty of real rock bands.
I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaved.
Dr. Teeth himself, with his gold tooth, funky wardrobe, and raspy New Orleans drawl, was clearly inspired by Dr. John, the legendary blues musician. Animal, that guy was pure chaos, an unhinged whirlwind of drumming energy modeled after The Who's Keith Moon. Because, let's be honest, if any real-life drummer was a Muppet in human form, yeah, it was Keith Moon. Floyd Pepper, with his cool, laid-back bass groove and Lennon-style round glasses, gave the band its steady rhythm. And Janice, the spacey, free-spirited guitarist with a voice like every 70s flower child.
Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much.
Now she brought the hippie vibes. And then there was Zoot, the quiet, mysterious sax player who barely spoke but had a sound that spoke volumes. What set Electric Mayhem apart from other TV bands, real or fake, was that they actually played their recorded music.
I hope my meaning won't be lost or misconstrued.
When they performed on The Muppet Show, they weren't just moving their puppet mouths to a backing track. The music had actual effort behind it, blending funk, rock, jazz, and psychedelia. Their version of Can You Picture That in the Muppet movie from 1979 is as solid a rock song as anything from that era, complete with killer instrumentation and a groove that still holds up today. And here's the kicker, they never stopped. While most TV bands disappear when the show ends, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem just kept going. They showed up in multiple Muppet movies, rocked out at live concerts, yes, actual concerts, and even played South by Southwest at one point. Because, well, why wouldn't they?
When the leader's singing, or when he goes,
And in 2023, nearly 50 years after their debut, they finally released their first full-length studio album, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, proving that good music and good puppets never die.
Moving right along, dug-a-dum. Hey, LA, where have you gone?
At the end of the day, Electric Mayhem wasn't just a great Muppet band. They were a great band, period. They had style, they had soul, and they had the kind of stage presence that only comes with true rock legends. Yeah, even if they had a puppeteer controlling their every rockin' move. The Archies. You might not remember the Archies show, but Sugar Sugar, oh, that song was everywhere and still is. It's so catchy and so sweet that it's practically rotted your teeth just listening to it. And here's the wild part. This wasn't just a throwaway cartoon jingle. Nope, it was the biggest song of 1969.
Honey, sugar, sugar.
That's right, a cartoon band outsold the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and even Elvis. The Archies weren't just animated characters in a Saturday morning show. They were a full-fledged music act that dominated the airwaves, and they never even existed. So how did a group led by Archie Andrews, Jughead Jones, Betty, Veronica, and Reggie become actual chart toppers? Well, simple, pure music industry wizardry.
Haven't you ever heard of teamwork?
Teamwork? Did somebody mention my specialty?
The real voices behind the band were studio musicians, led by the criminally underrated Ron Dante, a singer who could crank out pop perfection like it was nothing. The mastermind behind the operation was legendary producer Don Kirshner, the same guy who helped shape the Monkees' early sound. After dealing with actual musicians who demanded creative control, yes, see Mike Nesmith punching walls. Kirshner must have thought, hey, why not just use cartoons? They'll never talk back.
We wanna say, have some fun and go adventuring all
And it worked. Sugar Sugar became a massive hit, spending 4 weeks at #1 and selling over 6 million copies. Yes, it was pure bubblegum pop, but it was good bubblegum pop. Infectious melodies, hand claps, and that unmistakable honey honey hook.
and you got me wanting you, honey.
But here's the kicker, the Archies were not exactly a one-hit wonder like so many people, including us, have said. They cranked out multiple albums and had more hits, Jingle Jangle, Bang Shangalang, and even influenced the future of animated music groups. Would we have had Josie and the Pussycats without the Archies? Probably not. And what about the whole Gorillaz phenomenon decades later? You can bet the Archies walked so those animated rock stars could run. Of course, like all good fads, the bubble eventually popped.
Hey, get on the line. Get on the line for love, hey.
By the early 70s, bubblegum pop was losing steam, and kids had moved on to grittier sounds. But the Archies never really disappeared. Sugar Sugar still pops up in commercials, movies, and TV shows. Riverdale even gave them a wink with a modern take on the song. And let's be honest, if it comes on the radio, you are absolutely singing along. They may have been two-dimensional, but their impact on pop culture, well, that's as real as it gets. Zack Attack. Alright, this is a bit newer, and it was just one episode. But somehow, Zack Attack, the fictional band from Saved by the Bell, became legendary. If you were a fan of Zach Morris, you definitely know Friends Forever and probably had it stuck in your head before.
We lost, we tied, we won.
For those who need a refresher or just want to relive the ridiculous glory, Saved by the Bell Season 3 episode Rockumentary gave us the entire rise and fall of Zach Morris's imaginary music career, all packed into a single 22-minute fever dream. The episode was narrated by legendary Casey Kasem, treated us to a behind-the-music style journey through Zack Attack's meteoric success, complete with screaming fans, outrageous outfits, and inevitable band drama. The group, Zack of course, Kelly, Slater, Lisa, and Screech, go from high school nobodies to full-blown rock stars, touring the world, performing in front of packed stadiums, and experiencing the ultimate 80s pop fantasy. But like all great rock tales, it doesn't take long for the fame to go straight to Zack's frost-tipped head.
It's hard to see this world without you.
Suddenly, he's wearing sunglasses indoors, talking about his vision for the band and firing his own friends like he's some kind of teenage Axl Rose. Naturally, everything falls apart, friendships are tested, and betrayal is in the air. Until plot twist. Zach Morris wakes up and realizes it was all a dream. Now, normally a one-off episode about a fictional band wouldn't have left much of a mark, but Zack Attack was different. The sheer commitment to the bit, fully produced music videos, actual catchy songs, and an entire rockstar storyline, it made it feel real enough. And let's be honest, Friends Forever may be the cheesiest song ever written, but it's also kinda weirdly good.
Hang tough.
We'll stay side by side.
It's got that perfect late 80s, early 90s sound. It's sappy, it's uplifting, and practically begging to be played at a high school graduation. Despite never being a real band, Zack Attack somehow lives on. You'll still find nostalgic fans referencing them, making fake album covers, and unironically blasting Friends Forever at reunions. The song has even been covered and parodied countless times, proving that sometimes even the most ridiculous TV moments can have serious staying power. Was Zack Attack the greatest band of all time? I mean, maybe. No, of course not. But were they the most Saved by the Bell band of all time? Oh, without a doubt. There you have it. The best TV bands that ever graced our screens, took over the radios, and in some cases left us utterly baffled. Whether they were topping the charts like the Archies, fighting against the industry machine like the Monkees, or somehow turning a Saturday morning cartoon into a legit funk act like Josie and the Pussycats. Each one of our entries had something unique. And let's not forget the ones that took an unexpected left turn, like the Banana Splits, who went from singing Tra-La-La to, well, traumatizing audiences in a slasher flick. But that's enough from me. Now we really need to hear from you. It is your turn at the mic. What's your favorite TV band? Did you own a Partridge Family album? Did you ever try to actually play a Monkees song on guitar, only to realize they made it look a lot easier than it was? Let us know down in the comment section below, because after all, we here at Do You Remember are nothing without you. If I forgot any TV bands, make sure you tell me in the comment section. We could always make a round 2. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up icon. It really helps our channel grow. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you'd never miss a memory. But most importantly, from my entire team here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.